week, I've been showing you easy ways to make some of your favorite takeout dishes at home. Why? Well, first, it's delicious. Second, it's totally fun. And finally, it's way more friendly on the old wallet, which is always a good thing. This is my take on takeout. We've been going through the classics. We started off the week with a delicious coconut butter chicken. It's so tasty and wonderful. Then we moved on to like a chicken shawarma for anyone who wants that like pita vibe. And then we went for kind of a sushi situation with a delicious sushi bowl. Now, I started asking around the office to see what people are interested in eating. And before I worked at this office with the Good Stuff crew, I did not know that mac and cheese was a takeout classic. I always thought it was something that you made at home. But here at the Good Stuff, people love takeout mac and cheese. So I wanted to do a little bit of a spin on takeout mac and cheese, but just mash it up with pizza. So I'm making mac and cheese pizza today, which I'm very excited about. Yeah, this is how my brain works. I take two foods that are totally good on their own and then smush them together and hopefully they work out. And let me tell you, this one definitely does. So to get started, I need to get to work on my mac and cheese. Now, if you really wanted, you could make mac and cheese from the box and use that on this pizza. It would totally work perfectly. But I'm gonna show you how to make my super simple at-home stovetop mac and cheese. So in this pot of very, very boily water, I have got a good amount of salt and a cup of elbow macaroni. That's just cooking along just until it's nice and toothy and al dente. You want it cooked a little bit under soft, you know what I mean? Because it's gonna finish cooking in the oven when we turn it into a pizza. Just stick with me, it's gonna work out. So while those noodles do the thing, I'm gonna get to work on the actual sauce. So the first thing I need to do is make a roux. And a roux is just fat and flour mixed together, and it's used to thicken up some sort of liquid. So the first thing I need in this pot over about medium heat is about a tablespoon of butter. Now if you wanted to, you could use oil, but why would you do that when butter exists? So add that butter right on into that pan, and that's just gonna slowly start melting. Now, if I was doing just a classic roux, I would do the butter and flour right now, but I wanna start flavoring this up right away. So I have got a clove of garlic over here, and I'm just gonna mince that. They heard that I was making mac and cheese pizza, and they were like, we gotta get her. That's not real, Mary. All right, now I'm gonna add that garlic right on into that butter, and I'm just using my classic handy dandy rasp just to mince it right on in. That's gonna get the garlic really, really fine. And that's gonna just bring everything together and get that cooking up. So give that a whisk together. Again, get that butter melting. And now I'm gonna add in a tablespoon of flour. So I'm just using plain all-purpose flour here. And that flour is gonna cook together with that fat, with that butter, and kind of create a little bit of a paste. Now this paste is used, again, to thicken up any sort of liquid. Now since we are doing a creamy, cheesy sauce, I'm gonna add in some milk. Before I start adding that liquid though, I do wanna toast off that flour and that garlic, just to give it a little bit of heat and cook it. That only takes about 30 seconds. If I were to add the milk in now, first off, we're not gonna get any delicious golden brown flavor, and it's gonna kind of sort of taste like raw flour. We don't want that. That is not what we want in a delicious mac and cheese. All right, that's been about 30-ish seconds. So now I'm gonna add in my milk. I need about half a cup of milk. And if you want, you could warm it up in the microwave first. This is nice and warm. It helps it mix in a little bit more evenly. But if you didn't, if you just grabbed it straight from the fridge, no one's gonna mind. A little bit of lumps in your mac and cheese, whatever. You're making it into pizza. People are gonna be totally in love with you when you give them mac and cheese pizza. All right, so just whisk that right on in. I start with a little bit at a time. And again, if lumps happen, they will cook out. You're gonna add cheese into this so no one's gonna notice. Honestly, I feel like that was pretty good. Usually I get lumps. I'm feeling good today. This is a good day. All right, now I just wanna bring that up to a simmer just to start cooking that down. That's gonna need about 2 to 3 minutes to start thickening up, but I do wanna add in a bit more flavoring. I'm gonna season that with a little bit of salt, and then I'm also gonna toss in about a 1/4 teaspoon of this stuff. Does anybody know what this is? It's dry mustard powder. This stuff, if you mix this with a little bit of water or vinegar or something, you can actually kind of make your own mustard. Check your spice cupboard, because you might have a container from 1972. hanging around. It's in like a little yellow tin, but just a 1/4 teaspoon of this really rounds out the flavor. It's really good. If you don't have this, just about a teaspoon of regular Dijon mustard in here would totally do the trick. The dry mustard powder, though, doesn't have that acidity, so it does add a real nice deliciousness. As you can see, this is already starting to thicken up, so I'm just gonna let that keep going. While that does its thing, I'm gonna strain these noodles. I'm gonna take a gander, though, first. Let's see. Why is it that macaroni always does this? Like, I don't think I've ever made the box stuff and not had it make a total mess of my stove. Oh yeah, those are looking perfect. All right, let's drain those off. Ooh, okay, cool. That was lighter than I thought, or I'm stronger than I thought. I'm gonna go with the latter. All right, give that a drain. And then pop those noodles right back into the pot. A little bit of that cooking liquid coming along is totally cool. That's gonna kind of bring more kind of thickness and deliciousness into this sauce. So just set those noodles aside. They look perfect. This sauce is already starting to thicken. Give it a look. It is so much thicker than it was when I first started. So now we're gonna start adding in our cheese. So the first type of cheese I'm gonna add in is a little bit of cream cheese. I like it for a little bit of like extra creaminess, obviously. So about 2 tablespoons of that goes right on into the, is it gonna be 2 tablespoons or is it gonna be a 1/4 cup? Let the cream cheese decide. Add that right on in. That's gonna give you that really creamy texture. Give that a whisk. Then I'm also gonna toss in a cup of grated orange cheddar cheese. I love orange cheddar because it looks kind of more classic mac and cheese. If you wanna go fancy, feel free to do white cheddar. You could do Gruyere, go to Switzerland or something. Add that in. And then for a little added extra funk, this is one of my favorite things to add anytime I'm making food. She's getting excited. All right, we're getting some melty cheese. That is looking beautiful. We're making a mess. Remember that time, did I talk about making a mess with the noodles? Murphy's Law. I had to make a mess somewhere with mac and cheese. All right, for a little bit of added nuttiness and deliciousness, I've also got some Parmigiano Reggiano cheese here. I'm using the real stuff, not the shaky cheese that I do also love so much, but this adds like a real kind of grown-up flavor. You're not gonna taste it too much, but it just kind of amps up that cheesiness. So I'm gonna add in about 2 tablespoons of that right on into the mix. And again, just grating it on my rasp. Give that a whisk together, and that cheese and that cream cheese is immediately gonna start melting. You're gonna get stringy deliciousness. Then the whisk becomes like the cheese cage, so you gotta tap it off. This is where you gotta tap for a good while. All right, that's looking beautiful. Now I'm gonna add all of this beautiful cheese sauce onto these noodles. So just grab those noodles over, scrape all of that cheesiness right onto those noodles. I'm very excited about this. I'm like devastated that I wasted that much of it, but that's okay. Give it a good stir. You can see all that cheese, that stringy cheesiness. If you wanted to right now, I'm gonna season mine up with a little bit more salt, but if you wanted to right now, I would not blame you if you stopped. If you just took this to the couch, sat down maybe with some ketchup and some hot sauce and had yourself a time. But honestly, putting this on a pizza sounds kind of like a dream. So that is looking absolutely delicious. So now we're gonna move on to the pizza portion. Now, I might have lied to you a little bit. This thing kind of looks like a pizza, but it's essentially garlic bread with mac and cheese on it. But it looks like a pizza. So really it's 3 things in one, and you're welcome. So we're gonna get started on the garlic butter. So in this bowl, I have got 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And by 2 tablespoons, I mean a hefty 2 tablespoons, because that's how we do it here on The Good Stuff. Now, into there, I'm gonna mix in 2 cloves of minced up garlic. Now, I've got mine pre-minced here, but again, if you wanted to, you could rasp it right on your rasp, right straight into that butter. And because I'm using warm butter, that's gonna start pulling back a little bit on that kind of spicy, punchy garlic flavor. But we are baking this in the oven, so all is okay. Now into there, I'm also gonna add in just a 1/4 teaspoon of dry Italian seasoning. This is one of my favorite shortcuts in the kitchen. Somebody else mixed this together. Thank you so much to that robot and or person. But it's really great. There is a little bit of oregano in there, usually some marjoram, things like rosemary. This one has a little bit of chili in it too, which is very exciting. Just a 1/4 teaspoon of that going right on in. And then for a little bit of added freshness, I also like adding in about a tablespoon of chopped up parsley. I like that punch of like bright green that you just don't get from dried herbs. So I've got like an end of a bunch of parsley that I'm just gonna chop up. And with parsley, similar to cilantro, you can actually eat the stems. You do wanna slice them up a little bit thinner because they tend to be a little on the woody side, but they're perfect. If you don't wanna eat them, feel free to just compost them or even pop them in a bag in your freezer if you're ever gonna make stock, or you're gonna pretend you're gonna make stock, and then your freezer's just full of parsley stems. Just bring them to me and I'll use them up, I promise you. All right. Now I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of that right on into that butter. Again, for that bright, fresh green. Give that a stir. And that right there, spread that on a piece of bread, stick it in the oven, and you are laughing. But we're gonna do a pizza vibe. So I've got a ball of store-bought pizza dough here. You wanna get one of the smaller balls. If you get a big one, feel free to kind of split it up. But I like to take it out of the fridge about a half an hour before I start using it. That way the gluten kind of relaxes, it chills out, and it makes it a lot easier to stretch. So if it's feeling sticky, feel free to use a little bit of flour, but then I'm just gonna shape it into a nice, thick, round disc. Now, I like to equate this to the way my grandpa tried to tell me you're supposed to turn a steering wheel. I was like, I don't think that's right, Grandpa. He's like, just shuffle it through your hands. For anyone under the age of 16 without a license, that is not how you turn a steering wheel, so do not listen to my grandpa. But just give it a little bit of a stretch just to get it perfectly sized. Now, we're not doing a flat pizza. This is not gonna be anything like a Neapolitan style pizza. We're not going fancy here. We're going pan pizza, which is my ultimate fave. So over here, I have got a cast iron skillet, heating over about medium heat, and I've got a tablespoon of melted butter in there. That way, we're gonna get a perfect, beautiful crisp as soon as I add this dough right into that pan. So I'm just gonna kinda slop that right on in, push it up the sides. There's a little bit of a sizzle going on. That butter is gonna start to caramelize that dough. And just for good measure, we're gonna add that garlic butter on top of this. Yeah. This feels like a Saturday food, but we're doing it on a Thursday here. All right, just kind of mush that around. Oh my gosh, so much garlic. Honestly, feel free to pull back on the garlic. Did I? No. We're all friends here. Perfect. So you wanna make sure you get those edges too. Any little bit that goes into the pan is just gonna caramelize underneath that dough. It's gonna be absolutely beautiful. You don't feel too bad because there's that green parsley in there, so it's healthy. And then you get that wonderful macaroni and cheese that we made earlier. Get ready, everybody. I'm just gonna dump it on top. All right, nice, okay. Right, now you can load it up real tall. You can also save a little bit for yourself. Oh my gosh, I'm very excited. Now, if there's not enough cheese and enough things going on in this, I'm also gonna add about a half a cup of grated cheddar cheese right on top, just to give it that real pizza vibe. If you wanted to, you could do mozzarella, trick your friends, be like, you'll never guess what is on this pizza. Scatter that right over top. And then this little number goes into a 450-degree oven on the bottom rack, because you wanna make sure that crust gets nice and crisp, for about 20 to 25 minutes, just until that crust is fully cooked. That cheese is melted, that beautiful mac and cheese is bubbling. Where's my pizza? Oh, there he is, he's in the oven, of course he is. This looks absolutely out of control. Look at this mac and cheese pizza, everybody. I'm very excited about it. Now you can cut this right on in the pan, or just grab a little spatula and just kind of slop it right on out. Obviously add a little bit of green on top for some garnish. And then you cut into this baby. Now, I am so excited about this pizza. And as I said, us here on The Good Stuff love a good mac and cheese. In fact, we have working at The Good Stuff the very own President and Vice President of the Mac and Cheese Committee. Please welcome Vernon and Amy. Hello, Madam Vice President. Hi. Fantastic to see you. Mr. President, the motorcade getting in here to get this President and Vice President in here. All right, would you guys like to give this a go?
Yeah.
We are so excited.
Have you ever had mac and cheese pizza before?
No,
Never.
Are you excited about it?
Yeah.
Okay, give it a go.
Mood.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Now,
Mary.
caveat, Amy is Italian, so I feel like this is a sacrilege, but it's gonna be
But
great.
honestly, on behalf of all Italian
Cheers.
Canadians,
Yes.
we salute you.
Thank you.
Cheers. There you are. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, I got a Vernon approval.
Gee.
Very good.
Heaven.
Heaven, you heard it here first, folks. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of The Good Stuff.